All right, so good morning or good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, the Non-Employee Referral Program. My name is Hillary Dunn, and I'm in charge of customer success at Ziv. I'll be your moderator for today, and I'll also be contributing a bit to the webinar. This webinar is brought to you by Ziv, a platform that helps companies manage and automate their social recruiting and employee referral programs. I'm excited to introduce you to our main speaker for today, Ziv Eliraz. Ziv is a true expert when it comes to employee referrals and has extensive experience when it comes to non-employee referrals. So during the webinar, there are a few ways to get in touch with us. We love being social, so if you're on Twitter, please use the hashtag Zao.com, and that's ZAODOTCOM. And for any direct questions, please use the chat box. We'll hold time for Q&A at the end of the webinar, so we'll answer all of your questions then. Also, we'll be recording this webinar, so everyone here will receive a copy of the slides and recording within the next few days. So you can look out for that in your inbox. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ziv to get started.
Hi everyone, this is Ziv from Zao. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to start by giving you a brief overview of what we're going to explore in this webinar. First, we'll start with who these trusted non-employees are and why you want to include them in your referral program. Then we'll cover 14 tips and best practices for engaging both your employees and trusted non-employees in your referral hire program. And if you've attended one of our webinars in the past, you know we believe in gamification. Hillary's going to talk a bit more about what we're going to be giving away today.
All right, so that's right, everyone. Today we're giving away two $25 Amazon gift cards at the end of the webinar, so make sure to keep your eyes and ears open. When the time comes, we'll ask you to use the chat feature to answer a simple question related to this webinar. So stay tuned and good luck. All right, so now I know that you've probably all heard at least a few times that employee referrals are the #1 source of hire, but they didn't get this title for nothing. I'm going to briefly touch on referrals and why they're continually named the #1 source of hire. So first, they're repeatedly reported to be the highest quality hire, since these hires end up performing the best on the job. They're also the highest quality candidates. Referrals produce candidates that are 5 times more likely to be hired than other sources. And finally, they have the #1 retention rate after 1, 2, and 3 years out of all hires. So for example, after 1 year, the retention rate of referrals is 46%, which is a huge difference from job boards, which only total in at 22%. So now we're going to move on to the more interesting stats that you've probably heard a bit less about. Ziv is going to discuss some facts about non-employee referrals.
Thanks, Hillary. So we know that referrals are #1, but the question is, should we include non-employees in our referral program? So as you can see from this slide, a bunch of referral experts are saying yes. Dr. John Sullivan, a well-known HR thought leader, recommends expanding referral program eligibility to non-employees. Also, Jerry Kristen from Career Crossroads found that 43% of companies surveyed in the 2012 source of hire surveys hired an employee through a non-employee referral. He also found that about 43% of these companies had successful hires from vendors, and 36% had successful hires from alumni referrals. Now, last month at Zao, we compiled the data from all our hires, and we found that 41% of all referral hires in Zao came from non-employees, which is a huge percentage. What it means is that 69% more referral hires were reported when non-employees were involved and rewards were offered. For the vast majority of our customers, using Zao was the first time that they opened up referral rewards to people outside the company. So this new source of hire made a serious impact on their ability to make high-quality hires. So before we get to the how, who exactly are these trusted non-employees? So your non-employees are contacts that you trust who can bring you great referrals. So first, your former employees can be great referrals. They know exactly what it's like to work for you and what the culture is like at your company. If you let someone go for performance, you obviously don't want to reach out to them for referrals, but many employees leave us because they simply move on, and they can have great contacts in our industry for years to come. Next, your vendors and business partners can also refer top candidates to you. They're familiar with your company too, and they know what it's like to work for you. They're also generally highly trusted contacts that won't abuse your trust. Your consultants and contractors should also be very familiar with your company and your company culture. You can't very well consult if you don't know who you're consulting for, right? So take advantage of that fact and that these people know who you are and know your brand, and include them in the list of your trusted referrals. Same goes for your advisors, obviously, as well. Now, nowadays we all have a trusted business network on LinkedIn, so tap into that too. You have many contacts there. These are people that you met, and that could be great referrers as well. And finally, obviously, the best way to get to these people is through your employees, and we're going to dive deeper into this topic in just a minute. But just before we do, why does it make sense to include all these people in your referral hire program? So first and foremost, these are people you know, which means there's a basic element of trust. Second, you probably know them because you hang out in the same places or go to the same conferences or work in the same industry, which means they're doing exactly the same thing and they're meeting those people too. And finally, they could have what's probably the most important piece of information in the recruiting world, the knowledge of when someone great is ready to move. And that's what you want to tap into. So before we discuss how to get these non-employees involved, we want to hear about your experiences with non-employee referrals. Hillary?
All right, so this leads us to our first survey question. You can enter your answer in the webinar box. You should see a pop-up on your screen in just a minute. So our question to you is, have you ever hired someone who was referred to you by a non-employee? So this can include anyone we just spoke about or any other type of non-employee you can think of.
All right, keep on voting. We're seeing votes come in. All right, keep on clicking. We're still seeing votes coming in. Did we mention that there's going to be rewards here at the end? Not for this, but for something else. All right, more votes coming in. Let's wait a few more seconds.
Let's let everyone get their votes in.
All right. And we will, hold on 1 second. I see more are coming in. All right, let's close the polls. All right. And share the results, of course, with you. So 78% of you have hired someone who was referred to you by a non-employee. Great. Very nice. And 20%, 22% haven't. All right, let's keep going. Thank you all very much for that. Okay. Just see, all right. So we're, go on to the next slide, please. All right. Okay. So before we proceed with the actual tips, let's begin with the two core problems we have. Right. The first is how to get your employees engaged. Because remember, the best way to get trusted non-employees to work with you is to go through your employees. And your own personal network can only go so far. So employees are key to this. Now, I'm sure some of you are familiar with this picture. When you ask your employees for referrals, you may get ignored or the standard answer of, I'll check. But when most employees don't follow through, most employees don't follow through on that. So we'll talk about why employees aren't engaged and how to solve this problem. The second core issue is how to get your entire trusted network of non-employees engaged. How do you get the attention of these non-employees, and how do you get them to refer great candidates to you? We're going to address all these questions now.
All right, so now we're going to give you the down low on how to get the attention of these non-employees and turn them into great referrers for your referral program. So we've compiled 14 tips from our best practices that we are going to cover here. So let's get started. So our first and most important tip is to extend rewards to non-employees. As we briefly mentioned before, non-employees just don't have the same motivators for referring a great person to work at your company. They don't reap the intrinsic benefits of working with a great member or helping out HR. So through our internal research, we found that offering a referral reward to non-employees increases engagement by 10 to 50 times. So we can't stress enough how important it is to offer a form of reward to these outside referrers. People today are busy, and without a reward, trusted contacts just aren't that motivated to help out. So this leads us to our next question. What is the best reward to offer to these non-employees? Ziv, can you answer this for us?
Sure, and we have tip number 2 for that. which is when it comes to offering rewards to non-employees, cash is definitely preferred. You don't necessarily know these people as well as your employees, and it would be difficult to pick a non-cash reward that suits everyone. So sticking to cash bonuses is your safest bet. Now I'm going to answer a question that we hear a lot when it comes to referral bonuses. What's the right amount? So we think it depends on the industry, and it's probably ultimately a function of the salary of the position we're talking about. But overall, we recommend offering between $1,000 to $2,000, though again, smaller amounts may work in some cases and industries, and we've certainly seen bigger amounts draw more attention. So this is something you might want to play with over time to figure out your sweet spot. The best referral schemes offer different referral rewards for different positions. For example, if you have a hard-to-fill or urgent job, offer a higher reward. Best practices for referral rewards emphasize the fact that you should differentiate rewards. It's not necessarily the highest paying job that should get the highest rewards. It could be the one you're having a hard time filling or the one you need filled urgently. And that leads us to our second survey question. And I'm going to hand this over to Hillary.
All right. So it's time for everyone to vote again. You should see the pop-up box to vote one more time. So our second survey question is, does your referral reward program include non-employees? We want to know if you give rewards to these non-employees who bring you referrals.
All right, the answers are coming in, so we're going to wait a few more seconds. All right, and we will wait a bit more. And close the poll. All right, so let's share the results. Very interesting. So before, most of you said that you hired through a non-employee referral, but you're not including non-employees in your referral program now. Very interesting. Obviously, many of you I see aren't using Zao, so it makes sense. But certainly very, very interesting food for thought. Awesome. So tip number 3, leverage employees' networks. So that's obviously one of the most important things, right? What you want to do is, if you want to engage people that aren't your employees, you're going to have to change the question that you ask your employees. Instead of asking them, who do you know for the job, ask them, who do you know that might know someone for the job? And it's a question more people can answer, and it's one that helps expand your referral reach. So when you combine that with an offer for a reward, you're making sure that there's something in it for everyone. It's a great strategy that helps keep referrals going long after your employees have exhausted their first-degree contacts and the people that they might think are good for the job. And what we recommend is splitting the reward 50-50. So let's say that your referral reward is $2,000. If your employee knows someone for the job, great, they get the entire reward. But if they don't, and a friend does, both your employee and their friend can make $1,000 each in case of a referral hire.
All right, so our next tip has a lot to do with a question that you probably get asked by your employees all the time. So this question is, what the heck happened to that guy I referred last week? Employees and referrers want to know what happened to the candidates that they referred. You don't want them to think that their referrals disappeared into a big black hole. So it's important to give them feedback. Giving feedback is one of the most important things you can do to keep your referrers engaged in the process. If they receive steady feedback, they'll know that what you're looking for, and therefore they'll likely continue to refer people. If not, there's a good chance that engagement will fall off. So there are 3 different types of feedback that are important to the referral process. You should let referrers know when their candidates are qualified, interviewed, and hired. You don't need to know or worry about disclosing too much. Just tell employees if their referral was qualified or not, and then give them an update if their candidate passed the interview process. Every time you give feedback, you encourage further action, because employees will feel their actions mattered and aren't ignored. Now, Ziv is going to go a bit more in depth into these different stages of feedback and how to make them fun for referrers.
Thanks, Hillary. So from our experience with both employee and non-employee referrals, we found that everyone really appreciates adding fun and games to referrals. And just because a referral isn't a member of your team, it doesn't mean that they don't want to see how they're doing. So we recommend that you offer points and achievements in your referral program and that you give points for actions that are of more value to you, like hiring or receiving qualified applicants that have been interviewed. And the point structure in this slide reflects this. We give 1 point to referrers that share jobs in a way that their friends see it, 20 points for a lead, 100 points if a friend applies, but 400 points if HR deems that a friend is qualified, and so on. So this is just a sample structure we use in Zao. You can create your own points and configure it whether you use Zao or not. But the important thing is that we give points for action versus inaction, and even more points for quality action, which is the behavior that we really want to encourage. Right? And on to the next slide, leverage a branded career site, of course. So now that you have your non-employee referrers invited, it's important that they can easily have access to all the jobs that you have open for referrals, not just the particular job that was shared with them. And the branded career site can do just that. A career site helps both employees and non-employees view all the open jobs in your company. So sharing one job is just like sharing all of them because they can easily access the rest. And Career Crossroads Source of Hire survey found that career sites were the #1 influencer on referrals. So make sure that your career site properly reflects your employer brand and value proposition. And don't forget to include images and videos to engage referrers. It needs to be very clear to anyone watching why they should want to work with you or why they would want to recommend that their best friend work with you.
All right. So now another important feature to make sure referrers can easily access your jobs is to make sure you're mobile. Mobile recruiting is quickly on the rise. Currently, only 19% of job seekers use mobile devices due to limitations on job platforms, but 57% of job seekers would like to use mobile devices to search for jobs. So at Zao, we're seeing over 25% of our traffic coming to customers' career sites from mobile devices. What this means is that if your referral experience doesn't include support for mobile devices, you could be missing out on over a quarter of your candidates and referral potential. So make sure your referral program is mobile. All your referrers should be able to view jobs and refer friends easily on their mobile devices. Being mobile friendly is key to the future of referrals and recruiting.
All right. All right, tip number 8, make it easy with smart matching. So, did you ever ask an employee or a non-employee to refer a friend and just get that blank stare or have no one come to mind? These days, your employees and their friends are connected to hundreds of people on social networks. And if they could just review the online profiles of each of their friends and look at all the jobs in your company, it would be great. But obviously, it doesn't make sense to ask them to scan all your open jobs and have them manually find matches among their friends. But by using smart and automated matching, referrers can easily match your jobs and the keywords that you choose to the skills of their contacts. And this takes a lot of the hard work out of referrals and helps guide referrers on what to do. So referrals without smart matching is kind of like blind dating. It's not something you want to do without some sort of filter. So the smart matching really acts as a filter and helps pre-qualify your referrals. Hillary?
All right. So now that we've covered the basics of non-employee referral programs, let's dive a bit deeper into how to engage your referrers and increase long-term participation. Long-term participation is an issue facing many referral programs today. There can be a lot of buzz around a referral program launch, but in order to be really successful, there are a few things that need to be done to keep your program going in the long term.
All right, which brings us to tip number 9. Recognize effort. So if you want to keep people engaged over time, you need to make sure that you recognize their efforts over time. And a great way to recognize effort in your referral program is by using a leaderboard. This shows referrers and employees where they stand, how they can move up, and how much value you place on each of their actions, and we talked about that before. But it's also a great way to acknowledge people for their effort publicly. And behavioral research shows time and again that a little thanks goes a long way in terms of ongoing engagement. Tip number 10, and this is someone we like a lot. Use your email signature and to promote your referral program and offer it to your employees too. Right? So it's a great way to keep your referral program top of mind on an ongoing basis is by putting it in your email signature and hopefully doing it in a creative way. If you're anything like me, then you email a lot of people every day, both employees and non-employees. And these trusted contacts know a lot of great people. So use your email signature as a way to let people know that you're hiring and offering referral rewards, and make sure to include a link to your open jobs in your email signature. And like we said, if you have a reward, put it in there.
Right, and this is a great way to really grab the attention of your contacts. You can be as creative as you like and add graphics and fun text here. If you don't have time to create some fun-looking graphics, you can always add a plain text signature, including, as we mentioned before, a link back to your jobs. The key to get people to refer here is to let them know that you're offering rewards right away. Keep it fresh by changing your signature every month or two if possible. And to take it one step further, why not create a couple different email signatures and offer them to employees that they can use as well? So before you know it, you'll be automatically engaging tons of trusted contacts in your referral program. Can you imagine how many people in your business networks you can reach this way?
All right, tip number 11, allow for more winners. Right, so we're talking about getting ongoing engagement here, and one of the problems with employee referral programs is that typically companies hire about 10 to 15% of their workforce over a year. And what that means is that even if most of your hires are referral hires, more than 90% of your employees over a year are going to be left out. With typical referral programs, typically they're unrecognized and unrewarded for efforts, if all you're rewarding is successful hires. So it's important to allow more people to win in referral programs, and what we recommend is to consider increasing the pool of winners by taking your referral budget and splitting it across different actions that you want to encourage. Then you can make points redeemable for prizes or make qualified actions redeemable for prizes based on your goals. For example, you could offer 20 points or a small reward upon signing up quickly, or for referring a candidate that gets invited for an interview. So that's something that we highly recommend. And the second part of that brings us to tip 12, which is create friendly competition. Again, the goal is ongoing engagement. And an example would be to create competitions between different departments in your company or different office locations, or even between individuals. And you want to make competitions timed, either monthly or quarterly. So, for example, you could offer movie tickets or even a day off to the team that refers the most qualified applicants in a given month or quarter. Another way to get things going is to offer referral rewards to the top people on the leaderboard. So, offer a dinner for two to the top 3 people on the leaderboard, and make sure there's a deadline for it. You want to put that in because you want to build suspense and competition as the deadline comes closer. And we'll go directly into tip 13. This is one we like a lot too, is give back. So another great way to get your employees involved is to consider a month or a quarter where instead of rewarding employees with cash or prizes, the entire company works towards social goals. Let your employees choose the social goals, let them vote towards it, vote towards what they want to work. And for example, you could donate Toys for Tots or a meal for people in need for every qualified applicant, or give something bigger for anyone that's interviewed. And you can also give non-employees the option to participate as well, right? So publicize what you're willing to give, and you can allow them to donate a portion of their rewards as well. But think about those things and how they can make a twist and help you keep people engaged on a long-term basis. And our final tip is do your taxes, right? So one important aspect to consider when offering rewards to people that aren't your employees is taxes. Don't forget that just like you need to pay taxes, they need to pay taxes as well. If you're handling payments on your own, speak with whoever's in charge of accounting, because there are different laws in different countries. And if you work with ZAO, of course, we take care of payments to non-employees for you, so you don't need to worry about all the 1099s and W-9 issues. We'll take care of that. All right, that concludes our tips for engaging non-employees. And Hillary, I'll pass it on to you.
So, all right, everyone. As promised, we're now holding game time, and we're going to be giving away those 2 $25 Amazon gift cards. So, everyone get ready. The question we're going to ask you is, who has referred you a candidate that was not an employee? We'd like you to type into the chat an example of a non-employee referral hire you made. Of course, we don't type in the name of the person. Just type in your relationship to the referrer. For example, friend, former employee, vendor, or anyone else that you can think of. If you didn't make one, that's okay. Just type in the word never hired, and you're still eligible to win.
Yep, so we see answers coming in. All right, nice.
And we're going to pick the winners at random at the end of the webinar, and we will be emailing you guys with the winners. So look out for that in your inbox.
Yep, keep them coming in. Somebody's asking to repeat the question. So the question is very simple. Just please type in the chat box how if you were hired, if you didn't hire anyone through a referral of a non-employee, just type never hired or something. But if you ever hired someone based on a referral from somebody that didn't work for you, just type in the relationship with that person. So we're getting friend, and we're getting former employee, and we're getting former boss, and board members, and we're getting one never hired, which is okay. Ex-coworker, previous candidate. Very nice, very nice. Keep them coming in.
And this is your big chance to win, guys.
Yeah.
So we'll be choosing two of you.
Great. We'll give it a few more seconds, and thank you all for participating. All right, and we'll close it down. Thanks. So we're seeing a lot of you, and we saw that in the survey too. A lot of you are hiring based on referrals from non-employees, and these people are coming in from a lot of different sources. But remember, when we asked you about whether you're offering rewards, most of you aren't. So it's a very interesting thing to think about, right? Because we've seen it's pretty amazing. We have people that share jobs without rewards in Zao, and people that share jobs with rewards, and it's stunning. Like we said, we found between 10 times to 50 times more engagement the minute that there's some form of reward there. Right, so we'll close the competition down. We'll let the lucky winners know after the webinar, and that's it. We'll wrap it up with any questions. Feel free to type them in to the chat as well. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. So we're seeing some questions come in.
Yes, so the first one is, will you be sending a recording? Yes, we will. We'll be sending a recording to everyone that that signed up, probably tomorrow, or worst case in a couple of days.
Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll send that out.
Okay, another question coming in. How do you handle payments for non-employees? So if you're doing it on your own, it depends on the country you're in. But typically, and we don't want to give tax advice here. Our auditors are Ernst & Young, so we, obviously we get professional advice on this. But generally, you need to get a W-9, and there's 1099s, and again, if you don't handle it yourself, then make sure you get proper. If you do handle it yourself, make sure you get proper advice. If you handle it through Zao, then we take care of everything. So all you do is we invoice you, you pay us, and we will take care of payments and W-9s and 1099s with the individual, if that's in the States. Other countries have different laws, and we work obviously according to those laws. Next question, how do you do smart matching? Is it technology-based, LinkedIn only? So the way that we do it is this. When we launch Zao within a company, we invite the employees to join. They don't have to, but they can connect LinkedIn and Facebook. And once they do, both those companies have APIs that we can tap into on a very private basis, by the way. So we don't share this information with the employer. We don't share this information with anyone. We don't store it. But we're able to, with the same permissions that you give, a Facebook app like Foursquare or any other LinkedIn app, we're able to do an analysis of all the open requisitions in your company and show the employees for which positions they're most likely to have relevant friends, and then we highlight those friends, and with one click of a button, they can share the jobs with these people individually with a private message. We never post, by the way, on these messages on people's walls or stuff like that. It's all just private, person-to-person messages. Next question: how do you advertise to non-employees? So we don't advertise, right? The way that it's done, like I mentioned before, is just person-to-person communication. So an employee will see a list of people that are potentially a good match for the job, and then they'll forward the job on to them. And with that forwarded job, automatically we offer half the referral reward. This obviously, by the way, is only if you choose to open referral rewards to non-employees. If you don't, the employee can just forward the job on. Another thing that an employee can choose to do is that they can choose to share a job publicly, as a status update on LinkedIn or Facebook. And with that, again, if you choose to open rewards to non-employees, then a bonus is offered, and then everyone that message is shared with is a potential referrer for you, for your network. So hopefully that answers the question. Next question. How scalable are your solutions for larger organizations? We work with companies with thousands of employees, even though we're a relatively young company. The solution scales very, very well, and it depends how many employees you've got, but we can scale very well. And should you start with a small pilot group, you can if you want. We've had people start with 200 to 300 employees within a big company, and then expand on beyond that. All right, next question. How would you get the word out? So I assume that has to do with how do you advertise. And it's in that way that we mentioned before, right? So you go through your own network, you go through the network of employees, and you share the availability on jobs either on a very personal and individual basis with the people that are most relevant, or you can share publicly if you want. It's really up to you and the employees. Next question. What's the difference between Zao and its competitors? Depends which ones. But the thing is, there aren't really that many or any companies that do what we do in terms of engaging your non-employee network. There are a lot of companies in the social recruiting area. I think that's sort of a bit of the problem, but the solutions are really different. So again, it depends individually on a particular company, but most times you'll see companies doing very different things, just calling it social recruiting. When it comes to engagement of non-employees, what we're doing is very, very innovative, and the data that we're releasing today, I've never seen shared before. So we've been doing it for a while, and are able to share pretty interesting statistics about it. I think that there are a few more questions, but I think that they are more individual, so we can answer them later on. But I think in terms of general interest questions, that's about it. So thank you all for attending. We'll be sending out the recording and slides within the next couple of days, and you can obviously email us anytime at hello@zao.com. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for attending.
Thank you, everyone.